Good day and welcome to our session on English conditionals. How are you? I hope you are doing great and you are all safe. Today's lesson will be focusing on zero and type 2 conditionals. But before we get going, please see some of the links that I have provided here. These are some of the links that you can connect with me. Okay? I have an account in LinkedIn, in WordPress, in Facebook, and of course, I have provided there also my email so that you can email me personally. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell on this channel so that you would be notified for upcoming video tutorials on this channel. Okay? And of course, don't forget to comment down some of your questions, some of your suggestions, and the topics that you would want me to cover in this channel. Okay, so let's get going on our session about conditional sentences. So, what are conditional sentences? Okay, perhaps from the title itself, you would say that these sentences have conditions. Let's see. Conditional sentences. But before that, I want you to see what are our objectives or what are the competencies that is expected from us through our learning map and rules. Of course, we will be using conditionals in expressing arguments. That is our competency. And for us to achieve that, the following enabling objectives will help us. Of course, we have to define what conditional is, and then we have to distinguish the different types of conditionals, including their uses and, of course, their forms. And because this is an online tutorial, we have to observe some rules by observing online etiquette. Since this is a pre-recorded video, our only interacting mechanism here is through your comments on the comment section. And as you comment, be careful that you should be sharing your ideas in such a way that you will not be offending others. Of course, you can agree and disagree. You can also give your questions, your suggestions, and share your thoughts as well. Okay? So let's get going now. Conditional sentences. So what are conditional sentences? Conditional statements or sentences express a cause and effect relationship. Meaning to say, this sentence has a condition and it has a result. So there are two clauses in this sentence. A clause that tells a condition, a cause, and a clause that tells a result or effect. Okay, let's have this example. If I wash my hands regularly, I won't get infected with COVID-19. So I have here an example of conditional sentence, and it has two clauses. The one clause being the condition and the other one as the result. Which do you think of these two clauses is the condition and the result? Precisely. The first one is the condition or the cause, and the next one is the result or the effect. Now let's read. If I wash my hands regularly, so that is the condition, the cause. So if I wash my hands regularly, what will happen? Perhaps, most probably, I won't get infected with COVID-19. So that is the result. There's a condition and there is a result. Technically, we call this, the condition clause, we call this as the if clause or dependent clause. While the result, we call this as the main clause or the independent clause. Now, for this session, so that you won't be confused, we'll be making use of condition, if clause, and result, main clause. Okay? Let's get going. There are four types of conditional sentences, starting with zero conditional, type 1, type 2, and type 3 conditional. In other references, they call this as zero conditional, first conditional, second conditional, and third conditional. Nevertheless, the nomenclature may vary, but the essence, the uses, and their forms is still the same or are still the same. Okay, but today we'll be focusing on zero conditional and type 2 conditional because these two are somehow interrelated. So we'll be covering type 1 and type 3 on other video tutorial on this channel. So let's get started with zero conditional. Oh, don't you know that your zero conditional is also called as present real conditional? Meaning to say, it's happening now, it's happening, and it's real conditional. Okay, that is your zero conditional. And in terms of uses, the following are the uses of your zero conditional. First, it is used to talk about what you normally do in real life. So meaning to say, you make use of zero conditional in telling something that you are doing in real life, in telling conditions that you are doing in real life. Okay? Number two, you use this to tell a general truth. You use this in telling factual information. Your zero conditional. And of course, you use this in giving instruction, giving rules, and in telling habits. In terms of form, because this is a present real conditional, it makes use of simple present tense of verb both in the if clause and in the main clause. We have the pattern if, or you can also make use of when. And then there is a simple present verb in the if clause, followed by a comma, and then in the main clause, there is also a simple present tense verb. Okay, let's have this example. If this happens, that is the condition, this is the result. As you can see, we have here if, the conjunction if, happens, simple present for the if clause. And the result clause, this is the result, we made use of is as a simple present tense. Another one, if you heat butter, it melts. It's a general truth that if you heat a butter, it really melts. Okay? We use if as the pattern dictates, and then heat, simple present, and melts, another simple present. Okay? I made use of color coding so that you won't be confused. So if you see light blue, combination of blue and green, that means that is present or zero or present real conditional. Okay? Another one. If it rains, the grass gets wet. Is that true? Yes, that is generally true that if it rains, the grass gets wet. So it follows the pattern. If, then there is a simple present in the if clause, and in the main clause there is a simple present also. And this is the cause and this is the effect or the result. Okay, let's have some examples. But by the way, as I am saying, we can make use of if and when in giving zero conditional. But we make use of if there is a chance of what we are doing, or if there is only a chance that that event may cause something. So there's a chance that it might cause something or it might not cause something. And when we make use of when, we are very sure, we are very certain that that event will surely happen. Let's have this example. For if I read, I feel confident. So I make use of the if here, telling my people or telling the person that I'm talking to that if I read, so I might be reading or I might not be reading. If, just if I read, I feel confident. So it's not part of my daily routine that I'm reading. So I'm just telling him or her that if I read, I feel confident. So I make use of the word if because there is a chance that I'll be reading or I'll not be reading. Okay? But when reading is my hobby, I would say when I read, because I read all the time, I'm certain 100% that I'm reading, and I made use of the word when, so I feel confident. Okay? Do you have questions on that? You use if there's a chance that you will be doing that something or that event or that condition. And you make use of when you are very certain, 100% sure that you are doing that. Okay? Let's have this example. Okay? On the screen, we have when he has the time, he helps me with my homework. What's the cause or the condition? When he has the time, so the result would be he helps me with my homework. Now, did I not mention that you can interchange the position of these two? You can make use of the result as the beginning part of your sentence, just like this one. He helps me with my homework when he has the time. So interestingly, you have to take note that if you make use of the condition first, it should be separated with the comma. But if you made use of the result first, then the condition after, so it's just like your normal sentence, no comma in between. Okay, so don't you forget that. Okay, so that is some tips on constructing your conditional sentences. Now let's get going on zero conditional, on the use, on how you use zero conditional in a normal real life situation. Let's have this example. If the weather is nice, she walks to work. Again, it follows the pattern if, simple present, and simple present in the main clause. If the weather is nice, so she walks to work. So perhaps this is a habit of someone else. It's a real life situation, habit, that if the weather is nice, then she walks to work. Okay, it made use of zero conditional. Again, it's an interchange of that sentence. She walks to work if the weather is nice. Another one, used to tell a general truth. If water reaches 100 degrees Celsius, it boils. Scientifically, that is generally true. Pattern, form if, then simple present, then simple present. If the water reaches 100 degrees Celsius, it boils. General truth. When the sun sets, it gets dark. Generally true. The sun rises and the sun sets. We made use of zero conditional. We can also use zero conditional in giving instruction, rules, and habits. Just like this one, you always hear this from your teachers. If the statement is correct, write true. Giving instruction. If, simple present, and a simple present tense in the main clause. If the statement is correct, write true. Another one, if you practice, you win. Unspoken rule. If you give, you receive. When it's normal day, I leave at 7. This is a hobby that if it's a normal day, then I typically leave at 7. So we made use of zero conditional in constructing instruction, rules, and habits. Do you have questions about zero conditionals? If you have questions, please feel free to comment down on the comment section and I'll be answering them as soon as possible. Now let's have type 2 conditional or the present unreal conditional. That's why I pick 0 in type 2 conditionals because they are both present conditionals. The 0 conditional is present real, while on the other hand, type 2 conditional is present unreal, meaning to say we are dealing on imaginary things here, unlikely, impossible, hypothetical. So we are talking presently, but we are imagining something or we are dreaming something hypothetically of what might possible happen. Okay, let's have the uses here. Used to talk about what you would generally do in an imaginary situation. So you're talking presently, then what would you do if you were given a chance to be in that position? So we made use of type 2 conditional for that. Again, it refers to hypothetical condition, imaginary situation, and its probable result. As to the form, it follows the pattern if. Of course, you will always use if for type 2. No use of when. Because when you make use of when, We are very certain. But because this is imaginary, hypothetical, or impossible, unlikely to happen, then we make use of if as our conditional starter. So if, and in that if clause, we made use of simple past. You have to take note here. In your zero conditional, all present tense. But in your type 2, in the if clause, you made use of simple past. And in the main clause, you made use of would plus verb. Would plus the present form of the verb. Let's have this example. If this happened, that would happen, or that thing would happen. Another one, if she had more money, she would have traveled around the world. I'm speaking right now, I'm imagining that if I have more money, then therefore I should be traveling now around the world. In the same way, in our example here, if the persona here is imagining that he or she has all the money, then she will be traveling the world. So hypothetically imagining. Okay? If it rained, you would get wet. Alright. Take note of the pattern. I have color coded here. Simple present and then would plus verb. Okay, and we have if. Remember, we are just using if in your type 2 unreal conditional. Let's dig more with some examples here. If I were an animal, I would like to be a panda. So, hypothetically, imagination, okay? If they work harder, they would earn more money. I would play basketball if I were taller. Or the typical type pattern is if I were taller, I would play basketball. So I'm imagining right now that if I were just taller, I would be just taller. Then perhaps I would be playing basketball. So the persona here might be not that tall. Okay, so that's why he is hypothetically imagining, unlikely imagining that if he is taller, then he would be playing basketball. Okay, do you have questions on that? Okay, for your questions again, please comment down on the comment section. Let's have a recap before we have your task 1, real or unreal. Again, your zero conditional is used to tell something that what we normally do in real life. This includes general truth, this includes giving instruction, and telling habits or giving rules. And it follows the pattern if or when, then simple present and another simple present in the main clause. Remember that present present. While your type 2 conditional or the present unreal conditional, you are using that in telling something hypothetically, in imagining something, or in telling something unlikely to happen. It's just hypothetical or it's just imagination. And it follows the pattern if you make use of if only, then simple past in the if clause, and would plus verb in the main clause. Okay, that would be enough. So let's have task 1, real or unreal. What you will do here is that you have to tell whether the sentence is real, that is zero conditional, or unreal. Okay? So I'll be giving you 3 minutes to do that, and your time is starting. I'm back. Let's see. How well do you answer your task one? Real or unreal? Okay, let's have number one. I would buy that computer if it were cheaper. Is this real or unreal? Yes, correct. This is unreal. Okay, why do you say that this is unreal? Because in the essence of the sentence in itself, it tells us that if the computer is cheaper, so that's perhaps an imagination, then if that is hypothetical imagination, what would you do? Hypothetically, you would buy that. Okay? So that is unreal. And in terms of form, if, then, where, the past tense of are, and then we have would buy. And we have learned if we have that kind of form, then that is unreal or type 2 conditional. How about number two? Again, let's see the form. If, then, it made use of where again? Past tense of are. And then we have would plus the verb exact. So, based on the form, we could judge that this sentence is unreal. But in essence, if we are trying to see the meaning of the sentence, if I were you, I would accept this offer. So what's the imagination? If I were you, then what will I do? I would accept that offer. So that is hypothetical. So unreal. How about number three? Again, let's spot the pattern or the form if then isn't. Contracted form of is not. Is that past or present? Yes, that is present tense. Is a present tense. So if the child isn't disciplined when naughty, that's the cause, then what would be the result? He grows up likely to be a bad person. What's the verb here? Grows. Is that past or present? Correct. That is present. So if that's the pattern, we can always say that that is real. But in essence, we could always see here, or we could judge also here, that this is a zero conditional because it tells something like an adage or saying that if the child isn't disciplined when naughty, perhaps the child might be growing a bad person. Okay? So this is real. And how about number four? If the weather is nice, she walks to work. This is given in our example. Okay? So this is real. How about number five? I would read more if I didn't watch so much TV. We have if here, then did not, contracted did and not. Did is the past tense of do. So this is a past tense. And we see would read. So this is correct. This is unreal. Okay? May I know if you got a perfect five score? Comment on the section on the comment section here. Okay, let's get going with your task number two. What you will do here is you have to match the clause and the corresponding result. So in column A, numbered 1 to 5, we have the cause or the if clause. You have to take or match it with column B with its correct result. Okay? Remember, you have to consider the essence of the sentence first and primarily, and then you have to see the form. Okay, understood? So again, I'll be giving you 3 minutes to do that, and your time is starting. I'm back. Let's see. How well did you do your task two? Okay, let's have first number one. If I have an early meeting, that's the condition. What will you do? Okay, perhaps you would. I leave at 6. So if I have an early meeting, then I leave at 6. Correct. How about number two? If I take the bus, what would happen? It usually takes an hour and a half. Perhaps the area of the persona here is quite traffic. Okay. How about number three? If you want to succeed, you must make the effort as well. How about number four? If Joe were here, then he would do the same. And lastly, of course, if I were a reporter, I would refrain from giving fake news or reporter and then fake news. Okay? So who got five? But let's see. Comment down on the comment section. Let us study these sentences as we match the clause to its correct result. Now for 1, 2, 3, as we have noticed, we have all present tense here. And by form and rule, if the if clause has present tense, then therefore the result clause has also a present tense verb, and this is a zero conditional. So you have to see among the options those options with present tense verb. So in our example, we have leave, takes, and make. So that would make your matching much easier. So that's a tip for you. That would make it much easier. But primarily, of course, you have to consider the thought of the clauses so that you can link it very well. And just giving you some tips as to the form. Okay. And where, and that is past tense. So if that is past tense, if the verb in the if clause is past tense, then the verb in the main clause should be would plus verb. So you have to look for the options with would plus verb. So we have would do and would refrain. So that would make your matching more easier. And of course, primarily you have to digest the thoughts, the essence of the sentence or the clauses so that you could direct it to its main or to its result or main clause. Okay? So let's have your task 3. This time you have to match the result. The result comes first with its cause. So column 1 are results. Then you have to match it with its possible and correct cause. Okay, again, I'll be giving you 3 minutes to do that. And your time is starting. Okay, I'm back. So you can pause this video while doing your task. Then later on you could play. If you have not done yet, you could play. Okay. So let's do that so that we could go on our next task. Okay. You can just pause that and do your task, and then proceed when you are done. Okay. Let's have now your task 3. You would probably call the police. That's the result. So, what might be the reason why you are calling the police? Mm-hmm. Was it because? Most probably because you saw someone stealing. So you would probably call the police if you saw someone stealing. So that's the closest makes sense. Okay? How about number two? She would also do the same if what? If you took good care of her. Okay? Your clue is the pronoun she. Okay? How about number three? You would be happier if she gave her yes. That is awesome. That is heavenly. How about number four? You love staying in bed if or when? If it's cold, that is generally true. Okay, that is factual. And number five, I wear a sweater when it rains. So those are the results and its correct cause. Now let's see, let's study this result and clause. Result and cause. Again, we have to locate first for the form. For number one, two, and three, we had would, call, would do, and would be. If that is the form, so most probably we'll be looking for cause which has past tense because these are type 2 conditionals. So we have saw, took, and gave. And for the last two sentences, love and where are present tense in the main clause. So therefore, we will be looking for options with present tense also. So we have is and rains. Okay, and of course, primarily again, you have to see the connection of the clauses, the essence of the sentence. And then these are just tips for you to be able to look and locate the proper result and the cause. Okay, don't you forget that. Do you have questions? For your questions again, please comment down on the comment section and I'll be answering them as soon as possible. Now let's have your task 4. Your task 4 is complete the sentence. So I have here 5 sentences. What you will do is you have to complete them observing the correct conditional sentences to be used. If it is zero conditional or first conditional. Again, this is a take home task. So you have to do this by your own and you have to submit this to our Google Classroom. Okay. Again, you have to complete the sentences. And as a final task for you, let's have task 5, stand out, make real. So I'll be giving you some topics to read on, and after reading those topics, you have to formulate a one paragraph or a couple of sentences argument on that particular topics. For example, if I will be giving you poverty, just like in our example here, the issue here is about poverty. So perhaps I have read about poverty and came up with this argument. Example, combating poverty had been a challenge to most families in our country, and the children are the most affected to it. I think the government can help the poor if they can create more jobs and raise the minimum wage of workers so that the parents can provide the needs of the family. So I read about poverty, and this is my idea or my argument. You could write it as simple as possible. But of course, you have to make use of conditionals. In our example, we made use of the government can help the poor if if they can create more jobs and raise the minimum wage of the workers. So we had made use of present zero conditional or present real conditional in this example. Now it's your turn. You will be reading on about mining, about bullying, and about pollution. And after reading that over the internet, there are many sources there. You have to formulate your one paragraph argument using conditionals, zero and type 2 conditionals. Again, you have to read about mining, about bullying, and about pollution, and then you will be writing a one paragraph argument each using zero or type 2 conditionals. Do you have questions? I hope you are doing great. For your questions again, suggestions, comments, please type them in our comment section. So that's all for today. Remember that your conditional sentences are statements or sentences with cause and effect, with condition and result, and they can be used according to their specific function, and they have also their specific uses and forms. Okay? Thank you and stay safe.